Welcome to my class, and in this we are continuing on with Unit 2, in which we are doing collection, organization and presentation of data. In the collection of data, we talked about the sources of data. From where do you get the data? From where? From which place? How do you get it? Where is that? So that is, we talked about the primary sources of data collection, and which we finished, and we're going to talk about the secondary sources. So just let me just have a look. So this is how it is. So in this, now we're going to talk about, so what are the primary sources? As you know that primary data is the original data. So how do you collect the original data? Either directly or orally from others, or from your correspondence, and or either enumerators, that is with the help of questionnaires that you formulate carefully, and also telephonically or with your electronic media. So we did all of that, and right now what we are going to do is the secondary data. So collection of data from where? Primary and secondary. So we are going to talk about the secondary source. Where do you get it from? Now look at this. So we are going to talk about the data that is already collected is known as secondary data. Data already collected is known as secondary data. Is that right? And how do you go about collecting secondary data now? And believe me, most of us, when we are doing research, we make good use of secondary data. Now the main sources of secondary data is the published source and the unpublished sources. So let's just talk about them. Like basically you get it from the government publications, the secondary source of data. So there are major sources of secondary data. Now different ministries and government departments, both central and state, regularly collect and publish data on a number of subjects. Some examples are economic survey, then documents of 5-year plans, which were there. Now we have the Niti Aayog. Then you have the annual survey of industries, then agricultural statistics of India, census of India, etc. Data obtained from such sources are very reliable. Now we have what is known as semi-government publications, like municipalities, district boards. They also publish their reports relating to birth, death, education, sanitation. And they also give us some factual information. Then we have what is known as reports of committees and commissions. From time to time, government appoints committees and commissions. So they are required to inquire into specific issues and submit their report within the given time. So these reports become the source of secondary data. So it could be, say, some committee, finance commission report, planning commission report, and whoever heads the committee, the committee is named after them. Like for example, the Narasimhan committee report. Okay, now we have what is known as a publication of research institutes. Many research institutes are engaged in academic research work, and they provide important source of secondary data. Like you have ICAR, that is Indian Council of Agricultural Research. Then we have what is known as ISI, Indian Statistical Institution. Then we have what is known as, we all know, NCERT, National Council of Education, Research and Training. So there are some of these research institutes, and there are so many, and they publish the findings of their research work, which are an important source of secondary data on the subjects concerned. Then we also have what is known as international publications. So various international institutions publish reports from time to time regarding economic matters. These reports are regularly published by the agencies like UNO, that is United Nations Organization, ILO, International Labour Organization, WHO, World Health Organization, IMF, International Monetary Fund, and you have the World Bank and all of that. And we also have what is known as private publications. So publications of trade associations, some big trade associations like Institute of Chartered Accountants, trade unions, they publish data collected through their statistical and research division. Then we also have the newspapers and magazines, even they do so. They collect data in respect of many social and economic aspects. Some of them are like Economic Times, Financial Express, Eastern Economist, Journal of Industrial and Trade, Commerce, etc. You have the Mainstream, you have the Yojna and all of that. Then publication of research scholars. You have individual research scholars. Sometimes they publish their research work containing some useful statistical organization. Statistical information. Now, all this is, here we are talking about published sources. So, after having gone through the published sources, once again, they are nothing but government publications, semi-government publications. Just to recap, the reports on committees and commissions. Okay, like then you have publications of trade associations. Then you have publications of research institutions, then you have journals and papers, then you have publications of research scholars, and you also have, as we did, international publications. Now talking about unpublished sources, they are basically data which is collected by institutions. It can be a private institution or it can be a government institution. They do it for their either self-use, which is important for them, or just for their office record. But these data are not published. So these are unpublished numerical information which can be used by secondary data if you want to. I mean, it is used rather. Okay. So in the next class, we are going to do what is known as the two important sources of secondary data.